Hello everybody and welcome to another RCT2 hacking stream. Today we are going to build a diagonal Disk-O ride. The Disk-O is a ride from Zamperla's catalog. There are three varieties. There's a regular Disk-O, the Mega Disk-O, and then what they call the Disk-O Coaster, which is not a coaster, but it kind of looks like one with a little hump in the middle of this U-shaped track. If you caught part of this build yesterday, turns out I screwed up on the recording and it didn't save the whole thing, so I'm doing it again. So if you missed part of that or it cut off for you, it was me, not you. So let's have a look and see what we need to do. So this ride is pretty simple actually. You can kind of see underneath here, we just have a dummy track like we have on other ones. Because it's a shuttle where it's going back and forth, we worry less about the spacing and timing of everything down here. It really is going to reset in the same spot every time, so it works just fine. So what we're going to do is take a look at our pre-made sample over here, which uses four different tracks actually. So we've got our station track, which is our main Disk-O ride. We've got our split track here, which you can remove if you want to save object space and ride space. Underneath we have the control track, and then fourth we have the actual ride U-shaped track. So you can condense these into as little as two if you really want to, but I think it's just easier to do it this way, and usually I'm not having to worry too hard on ride space, so that becomes an issue. These vehicles here are custom vehicles made by Space K, so this is a Disk-O vehicle. It does rotate on the corners, but since we have no corners up here, it doesn't actually rotate, unfortunately. It follows the same method as the Virginia Reel and the Rapids boats. Even though we have a corner down here, each car in a train is independent of the other, so this curve does not affect this here. So unfortunately, we can't deal with that. So into our cheats menu, we're going to enable a bunch of stuff. I just go ahead and enable all of it, but really you're going to need to show vehicles from other track type changes, allow arbitrary ride type changes, and show all operating modes, unlock operating limits, and allow building track at invalid height. So this is a new one for us here. We haven't done this before. The reason I'm saying this is because we're going to build on the half height, and you can normally just by raising and lowering individual pieces, which is a pain in the rear. So there's a new feature on develop. So if you don't have that option in your cheats menu, make sure you're on the develop version of RCT or Open RCT2. So if you're in the launcher, you can easily switch between release and develop. So develop is the one that has that right now. But the reason I'm using half height is because I like the theming here. This, in my opinion, looks about the closest you can get to a realistic Disk-O, and it's a little too much if it's one full tile high, and it's definitely too low if it's on the ground. So we're going to build it at the half tile and just adjust everything else to match that. So let's get into it. And we are going to start with our station track, which can be any track that you want. We're going to use Mini Coaster. So you can see we're on the half tile right here, so not the full. And so we're going to build a couple of station tiles. It's not, you can build however many you want, but I just built 4 here. It's probably less than that with the actual ride vehicle. All right, now we're going to transition over into our split track. You can build the whole thing in this if you want. I don't for 2 reasons here. First of all, if you want to delete this this one later, you can. All the green over here. Also, when you change this station track to be invisible, you will see that when we go from here to Crooked House, for example, this drops. And while it doesn't look too bad right here, I like it at the height that it's at. So I'm going to go through and make this invisible one by one. So the fewer pieces in here that I have to deal with, the better, and then I don't have to worry about that. All right, so let's make this one different so it's not the same gray color. All right. Okay. So we're going to follow our track that we did over here. This one is sized for this particular hack. If you want to change things around, that's totally cool. If you want it in different spots or you want your split in a different area based on space constraints, you can do that. Just be aware that your split may change up a little bit. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we slope up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to slope up 2, and there we are. So we're going to build a reverse merge, which is exit first and then entrance second, which is how we always do it. So let's start here, and we're going to build downwards from here, and we'll just go ahead and build this all the way down. We're going to -4 according to the height over here. We're going to set another piece of brakes here, which let's just check this one. It is 9 miles per hour, and then the one up here is 13. So 9 here, 13 here. All right, so let's go back again. And following over here, just using this as a guide, we're going to go 9, turn the corner, and then we will slope up to our reverse point. That reverse point can be down here, it can be up here, wherever. All the vehicles or all the cars within a ride vehicle have a contribution to the momentum of the ride vehicle, so it doesn't matter which one you do it. They're all going to slow down and go back the other way regardless. Okay, so now up top here, we're going to build this piece here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll turn the corner, and then 1, 2, 3 more. Okay. So now that we're back over here, we built our exit, now we can build our entrance. So let's build our entrance here and here. So those are both merged. So now the vehicles are going the opposite direction, just split apart, and now we're going to get them both going back in the same direction. So let's take this off, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to turn the corner, but we're not going to build that one just yet. We're going to wait on that. And then this one down here, we're going to go just a single one, and then we're going to use the S-bend with the S-bend being the 2 large corners. We don't want to go or the reason we're doing this, not only because it lines up at the top, but it also puts our station below just underneath the main station, which is what you also want. The challenging part in these hacks in particular is getting the top one to line up exactly where you want it to. So you really want this to park right at the bottom of the U, right as the square here hits the station. So that's what requires the adjustment up top to actually get to that point. Once you do that, then you're golden, but it might take a little bit of working back and forth to get that to go. All right, so next we're going to use our U-shaped track here. And I use the Junior Coaster because I think the Junior Coaster looks the closest to a Disk-O with the I-beam track. So one thing you'll note if you look at this one in comparison to the Mini Coaster track is that it sits a little bit lower, but that is at the same height. Just be aware that that's how it actually sits. It looks a little weird here, but you're going to make it invisible, so it really doesn't matter. All right. So here is our track. I feel like this is the right size for a Mega Disk-O in the game, so that's why it is the size that it is. All right, so now we can come back here and we'll go through and merge this one. So once you can't build anymore, you know it's merged. This is a straight merge, 1 into 2. So once it's a straight merge, you always go 1 into 2. We're going to remember to merge our station here into our split track here. So that's just 1, and we're in. And now we're going to connect these 2 reverse merges here. So this one, we already built our exit, so now we build our entrance. 1, go underground, and we're going to do the same. Done. Okay, so now all that's left is the station up underneath. So let's grab a mini coaster track, and we are going to put our height markers on and then have a look. One thing I just realized is I didn't actually go down to 4 as I did over here, so let's remedy that real quick and get rid of all this. And then we're going to go 1 more. So this is part of why you want to make sure that you're paying attention when you do your thing so you don't screw it up such as that. So that was a 9-mile-an-hour brake, and then we're going to put our reverse point there. Now we're going to go back in here, try and select that curve, 1 out, and then our large corner here. Merge that back. All right, good as new. And this is at -4. Up top is at -2. Everything is like it should be. Okay. So we are almost there. Okay. So now here we go. We're going to go put this at -4. That half tile height. I believe that should be correct, but it is not. It is actually on the regular tile, so let's go here. Shoot. Sometimes it can be finicky. Here, so you can now see if you build backwards where it's going to line up exactly there. So we will go ahead and just build our piece here. The curves have no effect. It's just space saving. You can really do whatever you want there. This is about the smallest amount that you need. You don't really need any more than that. All right, now we're going to come in and merge this one, a straight merge, so 1, 2, and it's in. You don't need a huts on this one down here. That's fine as it is. Okay, so now the merge is done. All the merges are done. So we're going to go back up to our main ride here, and we're going to go change the vehicle to Disk-O. Go down to 1 train, because when you select those cheats, it's going to spam trains in there. And we're going to go down to 2 cars. So you'll notice 1 car is the circle Disk-O, and then as soon as you click second, you get the square. If you go any more than that, then you get additional vehicles, which have a use, I'm sure, if you're playing around with other ride hacking things. But 2 is what we're using here, a square and a circle. And then we're going to use powered launch. So we look at the other one here that we did. So we're using powered launch with passing station mode because that lets us do as many cycles as we want. You'll notice that you have number of circuits here. If you have a different vehicle, some vehicles aren't set up for multiple circuits, so you might not get that. The Disk-O is, though, so that's something to note. But we want our launch speed at 20 miles an hour. That's set up to do this hack, which is why this brake is here, and it's also set up to do the ride itself. So that was the intention. A lot of times you can set up the split and the hack to be at a different speed just to make it easier on yourself, and then you increase the speed once it's set. But we don't have to do that here, which I think is convenient. So let's go ahead and test this, and let's take a look. So we're going to cross over, hit those brakes, come around the corner, and it's going to look like it almost goes over this merge, but it shouldn't. There we go. Now we split apart, hit that 9 mile an hour brake, and then we're going to slow. Let's go ahead and close this too. We've reversed now forward, and here we should drop it into the right spot. So here we are, a little bit off center, but not too far. You can play with it a little bit if you are not happy with that, but I am happy with that. It works fine. So we will now go in here with number of circuits, and let's up this to something like 7. And now we can test it and watch what it's doing. So it starts out with not the full height, which is kind of nice, I like. And then here we are as it slowly increases. It gets close to the edge, but it isn't going to go off. If you do this setup down here, remember the straight piece on either side of the station because it comes pretty close here, and weighted with peeps, it comes just a little bit further. You just want to make sure that's going to hit correctly. So the last thing that you want to do now, because these are on the half tile, is these aren't going to line up yet. So you're going to take your entrance and raise it, and you're going to take your exit and raise it. This is both in Tile Inspector. So that's just a simple interface thing, and then you build your queue line. You go through here and build your pathway. Right, and then the only thing that's left to do, just for good practices, is select these again in Tile Inspector and just click Make Usable. And then you should be good to go there. Now, as far as invisibility goes, this splitting track can be anything as far as invisibility. Down here, you can make this launch track invisible if you want underneath the control, or not, either one. I think it's fine to remain, but if you don't like the look, then that's fine. Now, the other bits here is this station track, which I already noted drops down if you make it into an invisible track with some of the flat rides. So they all drop at different heights, which we'll see in our next tutorial, actually. But since there's not very many, I just prefer to do null objects and make it invisible in this manner. So then you're all set. Those entrance and exit huts can kind of go wherever you want them to be. If you go look at this one down here, I put my entrance on the one side or first and then the exit second and turned the entrance. which you can do in Tile Inspector. So it's a nice little triangular station. I think that looks the best. If you're looking for this theming, this beam down at the bottom is the Liampi's quarter suspended support diagonal. These were made for supporting suspended coasters, arrow suspended coasters. So if you go download Allegheny Adventures Park, which is one that I reviewed earlier in my series, it's one of my parks, feel free to download that, and then you will get this object with it. So easy enough there. So one thing to note, one more thing. I said earlier that you can delete this track if you wanted to. But let's pause the game real quick when this Disk-O gets up here. There we go. If you delete this track, because you have merged it in to your U-shaped track and also to your split track, you're going to get these removed. So you need to remember to put them back or it's going to crash, and you can't reset it because you just deleted the thing that resets it. So once you build them back, then you can let it go, and good as new. But just keep in mind, if you close it for whatever reason or something happens to it and you need to reset it, then you just can't anymore. Honestly, I don't ever do this, and if I did, I would wait until I'm just about to release my park and upload it before I deleted these things, so I know for sure I'm not going to need it. So just keep that in mind when you do. But here we go. That is our Disk-O ride, and hopefully pretty simple to do. The diagonal is just kind of a little fancier. It breaks the grid, in my opinion, and it just looks nice. You can do this on the orthogonal grid too, and we will have other rides that use this same sort of idea a little later on, like a swinging ship, like a scream and swing. Both of those are coming soon in our tutorial series. So that is our tutorial for today. Hopefully it was straightforward enough, but feel free to let me know if you have any further questions. And if there's a tutorial you would like to see done, feel free to reach out to me and leave a comment if there's something you'd like to see. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.